Welcome. I'm gonna wait for a second until Kenzie puts up the.
Keep talking. Perfect.
Right. Well, we're running a little late. Had a little hard time signing into the Zoom. No excuses, we're ready to start. Before we get started, we have, who's the thought of the day?
Me.
You
Yes,
are.
I am the thought of the day.
Do we have a joke master?
Me,
You're a joke master?
Okay.
yes,
Okay, your name again? I forgot.
Daniel.
Daniel.
Daniel, okay. Let me first invite our thought, Kenzie.
Sometimes you have a thought of the day and it changes. And I was talking to Shar and I was talking to Ron and I thought, what better time than to bring up my favorite quote of all time. It's by Cynthia Ocelli. And it says, for a seed to achieve its greatest expression, it must come completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, and everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction. Thank you.
Let's destroy the old myths. Daniel is our joke master today. Come on up.
Hello, everyone. The email had Joke Master last, so I thought I was going last, but I guess not. So has anyone have you ever had a job where you worked and you felt like your work wasn't really being recognized? We sort of, I think living life, we sort of been there, in situations like that. And so I was in this role once where the job was really hard. I worked in finance and it was just a lot of brain twisting and a lot of late hours working. But I felt that I wasn't getting the recognition that I hoped for. In a way I felt like I deserved. So in other words, I had a manager that I felt wasn't recognizing, my work. So that role wasn't really fulfilling to me. So I decided to move on and find another role. And as I left, one of the thoughts that I had in my head was, well, I was doing a lot of work in that role, and now I'm leaving that role, right? So where is that, so I felt, well, now my manager is gonna see, now that I'm leaving, she's gonna see all the work that I was actually doing. And maybe she'll, recognize the value of my work at that point. So that was a thought that I had as I was leaving that role. And then sometime later, I ran into a coworker on that team. So a former coworker. I ran into him and so it was, coincidental. So I said, oh, hey, how are you? We sat down and chatted for a little bit to catch up. Hey, how are you? Oh, how are things? How's your family? Things like that. And then I said, oh, hey, so after I left, how did everything work out? I know I left when I was doing a lot of work there. So, I feel like that I would have imagined that must have been a little tough, me leaving, I think the manager would have had a lot on her plate after I left. So, how did all of that, work out after I left? And he goes, oh, she just gave all your work to me.
Oh,
Okay, wait, I'm not done. I'm not done.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
sorry. So this is the first time I'm telling this joke, and I just completely made it. It's completely original. The thing is, this happened to me, but not the run-in. After I left that role, I had a dream where I ran into my coworker and I asked him, so what happened to the work? And he told me, oh, they just all gave all my work to him. And I woke up just cracking up. It was just so hilarious to me. And I was like, okay, how do I make this into a joke? And so I thought this would be a good place to try it out.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Daniel. Now, before we get started, I'm gonna fill our roles. Who's gonna be our counter today?
It's gonna be Claire. She's gonna be odd counter and grammarian.
That is correct.
Do you have a word of the day for us?
Great question. Let me pull up. Yeah, come back to me in 1 minute.
Who's going to be the counter grammarian? So we have timer. Who's gonna be the timer? Here.
Wait, your table's on.
Okay, I guess I should.
I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah.
So many volunteers.
So how long is your speech?
7 minutes, I was set, that was slow.
Okay, okay, that's-
5 to 7, are you qualified?
How much it actually is, I have no idea, because I'm like going to improvise more or less, but I hope if I start talking too much, just push me out and close the door.
Okay, sounds good. We can do that.
Do you have
And-
cards?
No, I'll just, I'll use my app. Yeah,
Okay.
just music. And you are gonna be 4 to 6?
You said 5.
6 minutes?
4 to 6,
Yeah.
yeah.
So 5 to 7,
5 to 7, 4 to 6. And who's gonna be our first speaker? Stas?
judging from the joke, I think it's gonna be more than 6.
Okay, so who's gonna go first?
I can go first.
Real quick, I have the word of the day. It's deleterious. Actually, am I even saying that right? I heard it earlier today, and now I'm worried I'm saying it wrong. Deleterious, which is an adjective meaning causing harm or damage. There we go.
Deleterious.
Do you understand?
Deleterious, is that right?
Yeah.
Put it in the chat.
Wait, hold on.
It was there.
It's deleterious. That's the way to pronounce it.
Okay.
Causing harm or damage. Deleterious.
Yeah, good.
Awesome.
So today we have 2 icebreakers from 2 new members of Silicon Speech.
Make it like it's.
It's just a practice run. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. No pressure.
Well, he didn't prepare it.
No
so,
pressure.
Yeah,
We volunteer.
yeah.
All right, help me welcome Stas to the floor. He's going to give us his icebreaker speech.
An icebreaker speech, okay. I thought it was just a speech, but I guess it makes little difference.
Well, usually the first speech is the icebreaker.
Yeah. I just need to, I'm not being with the back to you because you're actually in front.
Yeah.
Kind of situation. Yeah, so I'm going to take us 25 years back to the times when we didn't have mobile phones that kept our attention away from each other, when people were more on the streets, sat outside in courtyards, chatted with each other, where we could hear children play outside, doing skipping, bouncing pieces of bottles on the streets, playing soccer, at least in Europe. More life was happening around us. Then technology started to make everything more efficient, but also distract us from one another. So we started to spend more time looking at screens, less time looking at each other and communicating with each other in real life. Then COVID came. In the middle of COVID, I came with my family back to London after 2 years in Silicon Valley. And I took my then 10-year-old son to see his best friend, Hunter. They were the troublemakers of their group. They were the loud, noisy, always moving, active boys that would never miss a girl with long hair, would never miss a bottle to bounce. They were full of life and they were best friends. We come home. I send Zach to Hunter's room. I expect laughter and screams of joy, reunion after almost 2 years. Quiet. I'm surprised. I go to the room. Hunter is playing PlayStation. Zach is sitting, lost, not knowing what to do. I say, hi, Hunter, says hi without even leaving the screen. I had to switch off the screens and by the ear drag him outside to go into the rare sunny London day to play. Hunter never recovered. He they're in touch, but they cannot communicate well as they did before because Hunter is addicted to screens until now. It's at that time I was UX user experience designer already with a lot of experience. I worked here in the States, in London, for big companies. I worked on projects including social networks. My work was to use technology to connect humans with computers. That's what user experience design is. What made me realize, or that event made me realize that I'm on the wrong side of that progress. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to use my experience to try and reconnect people with each other. So I dropped the projects that I thought were not productive that way. And I undertook open source projects and nonprofit projects working on connecting people together on real world communities. And now I'm building Affinio, which is a company, a startup that develops technology to connect people into stronger human networks in real world. So in conclusion, I just want to say that that experience made me convinced that what makes us happy is not money, is not big houses or luxury cars, super yachts, or being popular, is real connection to other people. And the real reason why we're here today is that need. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Beautiful speech. Brief. Okay, let's get some feedback. I'm gonna start with Kenzie over here.
You definitely caught my attention right from the very beginning. I like that you found your spot and you just stood in your stance with a lot of confidence. It made me feel like the next things you're gonna say is gonna be like solid as gold. So. And so when you talked about your own experience with, well, your observation of the world really before technology and after technology, and when you even talked about being part of building it in UX was really, really a good take, I think, and even just relating it to your kids. Like I work with children and unfortunately I work with some children that are like very attached to their iPads or their PlayStation or whatever. And then I work with kids that their parents are more strict about that, and just seeing the difference is so big. So it was short, it was sweet, it was wonderful. I hope to hear more from you.
How long was it, by the way?
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay.
So
I was worried it's not to go too long, but I did too short.
yeah.
John?
Yeah, I just think you have what it takes to become a really good speaker. So I'm very glad you joined. And I mean, what you have to say is worth listening to. So that's important that you're sharing from the depth of your experience. Love that. So thank you.
Daniel?
Yeah, I felt that you were very composed, when you went up there and you started your speech. I felt that you were very, organized and your movement was very, clean as well. I think you added, I would have liked to learn a little bit more when you dropped, your, I believe, it's like London, it's a little bit more background would have been interesting just from my personal, hearing of it. But it was also fun to hear about like your kids, that, you know, anecdote and how you tied it with what you do now.
Claire?
Great speech. It was really nice to learn more about you. I love that you didn't just tell us, oh, here's what I do for work, but you actually tied it in with a personal story. You also didn't just give a lecture about, oh, the kids are on their phones these days or something. You tied it in with an actual transition you saw. You pulled us in with a story and then explained how that related to your career choices and what you're doing right now. I definitely loved hearing a little bit more about your cultural background. That's something I would want to hear in more depth in future speeches. And I couldn't see super well because of the horizontal mode on Zoom, but you seemed poised, you had good eye contact, pacing, and I didn't hear really any filler words. So great job.
Yeah, I could others love the message and your mission, love hearing about your life and background. And you seem really comfortable and composed up there, good pacing overall, which maybe for nervous first speech, you tend to go really quickly, but it didn't seem like you were going too fast at all. I think the one area I have some feedback is just expanding more about like the issue at hand and screen addiction. I know I've heard some really interesting stats on just the wealth of young people today that are attached to their screens and aren't socializing as much, and there's just a lack of human connection. So I thought that would be an interesting area to expand on and potential solutions. But good subject matter for another potential speech. So enjoyed it, Stas.
Thank you, thank you. Actually, that's the kind of the area that I forgot to mention, or because I was worried to go over time. It's exactly the couple of stats about the prediction.
Well, you usually get a sign, so you know that you have 5 minutes and then you got another couple of minutes to finish. My feedback, first of all, great topic, great speech. What you shared was in depth and wonderful. I have some feedback as a general storytelling. I think that your opening can be a lot stronger, just framing the entire story immediately. You know, screens are however you want to start it to capture the audience and the attention. And then, like, I think in any storytelling, when you start to say something, it's also important to not leave people hanging. You have a venture, they don't really know what that venture is, maybe a little bit on that. A couple of places, even though the story was great and it gave us a lot of information, but you don't want to drop and fill in your entire storyline so that people. Like,
Can I make a suggestion? Try to give this speech again. And try to do it in 4 to 6 minutes, time yourself, look back at this video. And I think your opening was strong in my opinion, but it could be stronger. And your closing, you kind of started to give a call to action, but you didn't really, hit it strong. And learning more about what you like, where you work. Do you work for yourself? How do you like get to this mission of helping people connect? So yeah.
all right.
Yeah, good idea. You know, instead of devising something new all the time to work on something.
Yeah.
Next, we have another first, Danielle. He's going to surprise us.
And you'll see my timing. Like, time to yourself as well.
Oh, yeah, well, one would have
Sure.
worked, but I
Okay.
didn't, yeah, so I can just. Okay, yeah, so this is completely, just on the fly, decided to volunteer for it just now, so. Didn't have time to prepare for this, but this is a thought that has been crossing my mind. Especially I think over the last few months, and I got this idea for this speech as we were talking just now at the beginning. And the topic is code switching, right? And I feel like us Americans are particularly blessed with this what is it? What would you call it? A social requirement, a social need, a social blending mechanism? And I think it's very strange and it's almost unnatural. But we all sometimes we have to do it. And sometimes we need to do it, and sometimes we choose to do it. And I think it's very interesting. But I've been thinking about it because the more when I think about it, in a way, I felt like I was learning about myself, and it was also putting together a path for me on how to shape myself moving forward. We all live in various different worlds. If you work for a company, you might live in a corporate world, but you also have your world with your friends. You also have a world with like in the arts, for example. And when I was younger, when I was in college, I also DJ'd at the time. So I love music and I love doing all that stuff. But that was a different era. But I am familiar with that world. But what's funny is recently, a few months ago, I was on vacation and I met this person who did festival artist bookings. So cool, right? And I'm like, oh, I definitely want to be his friend, right? And he's talking about, oh, how he can he can get like tickets to all these festivals. And I'm thinking, I like it. I definitely want to be his friend. And so I stayed in contact, and sure enough, like another festival, like a music concert starts rolling by. And I'm, thinking, I want to, bring it up. I want to say hi. I want to, float out around the idea of like, hey, would you possibly have passes to this concert that you'd be willing to share? If I said it in that phrase right there, I don't think it would have worked. Okay, so I got to think, how do I bring this up? I feel like that would be my natural way to say it. If I didn't prepare myself on how to bring it up first. But I didn't want to, I felt like that wasn't really going to be effective. In another way, put another way, this person, to me, it seemed like a really cool person. And I felt like I needed to talk to him in the same cool way that he speaks, And so I was like, well, how do I do this? And it's completely different from how you would raise a request over email to a coworker, in a corporate setting, something like that. So I actually ChatGPT'd it. And I got some, guidance, which I really appreciated, which was like, keep it short, don't look needy, don't do all that. So I kept it short and, took that advice. And then I floated out my request, and it worked. So he was able to get me on the list or whatever to get me into this festival. And so I really appreciated it. And I also know that I'm not being completely, not genuine. I'm not being fake here, but it's just that I'm just so out of that world that I'm just not natural in it, as much as I used to. So I feel like instances like this has helped me, understand myself and my surroundings more and allow myself to shape a path on how to build myself further moving forward. Interesting thought to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Great speech. Let's get some feedback. I'm going to start with James.
Yeah, first of all, just thought of that on the spot, I think is wildly impressive. But just admire the balls and confidence to go up and give what was not just an impromptu 1 to 2 minutes, which is standard Toastmasters, but a whole speech. So very confident, very energetic, excellent delivery. The thing I was just thinking about is filler words, but that'll come through with Toastmasters, and the author will give you a report. It's just something to be mindful of. You said earlier that you have trouble talking to senior people at work, and I just, after seeing that, I can never see you having trouble speaking, so I think it's a compliment to you. Yeah, the one thing I think about is just structure. So what do you want to start with? What do you want the subject matter of the speech to be? When you talked about code in the beginning, I was a little bit unsure of where you were going with it. Eventually, talking about text messages with somebody who sounds like a concert promoter got me there. But a stronger intro that kind of delivers the topic to the audience and what you're going to talk about. And then thinking about a conclusion as well, but that's very tough to do and it's not planned out in advance. So all things I think you'll have top of mind, like write it down next time, but very well done.
Thank you. I enjoyed you sharing your world with me. It felt like you were enjoying it yourself. That's what I really like. That you enjoyed sharing, made my world a little bit richer when people communicate and smiling and being animated. So really nice energy. In terms of technique, I agree. You the words and structure would be a little bit better in terms of this kind of structure, beginning, middle, etc. So it's easier to follow. It was more conversational style. So in terms of where we are now, maybe it needs a little bit more kind of rigidity. Otherwise, I really like the energy, which is, I guess, the main point.
Claire?
Daniel, thanks for the speech. I really admire your willingness to just get up there and do it, especially because I was the one who was supposed to speak, which I don't remember volunteering for. But anyway, thank you for covering me and being willing to step up to the plate. I really like the topic of code switching. I'm always interested in the ways we communicate and shift our communication depending on setting. I think it's super interesting that we might be basically presenting as a completely different a boss versus a friend versus some cool person we're trying to impress. Definitely reiterating, keeping an eye on the filler words. You had some good things to say, but I find all the ums and uhs and likes and you knows can dilute the message, but that's just something that gets better over time with Toastmasters. I know my first Toastmasters meeting, I had a million filler words. So it's something you can practice. But yeah, good job.
I'm really impressed with your speech and your energy, your willingness to just get up there. That's so huge. These feedbacks that you're getting, like filler words and framing, that will all come in time. When people ask me what I've gotten from Toastmasters, it is framing. And framing goes into every asset of your life, talking at work, talking on a dating app, talking, it just really helps in all avenues. It really does. So I really think if you stick to it, you're going to be really great. As Shara is probably going to tell you herself, but I love your storytelling. I think that is one of your strong suits, and that's something you can lean into, right? Into your storytelling. Your joy telling the story was just contagious. It really was. So I'm excited to hear more.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you joined. Did you join, Daniel?
Not yet. This is my second time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna join?
Sure.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm loving it so
on
far.
that one.
Yeah, I really agree with Kenzie. You have a contagious attitude that's very appealing. The main thing I want to just advise you is to if you just could say one point, what is that point? And get really clear. When I first started speaking at keynote conferences and stuff, when I started thinking, why am I saying this? For each point I was making, why do I want them to hear this? If you get clear on that, you'll be so over the top, good.
Finally, I'm going to give an advice that Shar always gives. When he first started, you started by explaining why you're giving the speech.
Yeah.
We are all here, we know that you volunteer, so we don't, by saying that, there's probably a nervous energy, I think, more than anything else, something to be aware of.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite clear of what code switching is. I think Claire does.
I think
So
it's like pretty
maybe-
well known with people of color.
Yeah, or maybe it's a
Yeah, but-
generational thing, so I wasn't clear on that. But I love the story. I think you did a very good job of telling the story. Again, to stick with a point to make it clear is going to make the speech a lot better, but fantastic job.
As we go on to the next section, which is table topics, I just want to remind us that this is the third Tuesday, so someone will be coming in right after us.
Okay.
So we have to
Yeah.
push,
Come on,
yes.
come on up.
Make the table
James?
topics like 1 minute. Make it
Oh,
1 minute.
well, how much time do we
Good time.
have? We don't have a lot of people.
We started our meeting late. This one is going to be for Kenzie.
Oh, okay.
Are you gonna go up there?
Okay.
You can sit at your chair.
Just trying to be quick here, huh?
Okay. So this one's.
We started our meeting late, but it wasn't deleterious to the overall quality of the meeting.
Oh.
We can talk about a time you thought you were late, but arrived just on time.
Timing myself as I talk about time. Isn't that wonderful? One thing about me is I will be on time almost all the time. Almost, can't say every time, but almost all the time I will be on time or at least 20 minutes early. And that's a habit I've just formed probably within the last 5 years. I found out the magic of a Google Calendar, which Shar knows nothing about Google Calendar. But it is a magical thing because I get alerts. I can put an alert for 2 weeks ahead of the event, that the event is coming up, and then I could do 2 days, 20 minutes, 1 hour, and those reminders really help me. And I also like the visuals. I do different color coding. When I'm speaking, I always make it yellow. So I'm like, okay, I'm speaking 3 times this week, which is not bizarre for me. I'm speaking a lot in AA right now, and it's really cool. But I think when you come to speak, you have to show up as your best self. And it's very important to be on time so that you can regroup, that you can settle into the space, find out where the bathroom is, find out where you're sitting, what the format is if you don't already know that. So you can just settle in, take a breath, and just pray if you pray, and just do your best. I think everybody should actively work on being timely. Thank you.
So Kenzie's thought of the day talked about rapid transformation and leaving behind an old self. Can you remember a time where you left behind an old self to propel future self forward? Shar.
Old self to be future self, to be your future present self. To what? Old self to future self. You had to leave something behind you to become
Better your future
a
self.
beautiful butterfly. Yeah.
I love to make other people happy. It brings so much joy to me when I see someone feel good about themselves, about why they're here. Every single person that we know, all of us and everyone on this planet has a reason for being here. There's a lesson, they need to learn. They come here to learn a certain lesson. There's something that they want to give to the world. They have a talent, they have something. So to give what you have to give is total magic. It's just magic. I used to be a reporter where I interviewed rock stars every day, a different rock star. And I would, all I had to do was ask them about themselves. And they would start talking, you know, and it was really interesting. A lot of them fell in love with me. And they didn't even know me. But because they could talk about themselves and I gave them my love and attention, they thought I was the greatest thing on earth and they'd never heard one word out of me.
We got lots of time. We have 10 more minutes.
So this one's for Claire, since she's joining us virtually. So Stas's speech talked about the distraction of our mobile devices. So Claire, what distracts you most on your phone?
Great question, James. As some of you might know, I have a lot of strategies for minimizing my time spent on my phone. I'm proud to announce that often my screen time is about 2 hours, max 3 hours, which still sounds like a lot, but it's better than some people I know. A few years ago, I read a book called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. He is a computer science professor, very smart. He also wrote a book called Deep Work, which is about really getting into your flow state and staying in a state of productivity without distraction. I think he had some great points. One of my key takeaways from digital minimalism was the idea of putting your phone in black and white so that it's less interesting to look at. When your phone is all colorful and exciting, your monkey mind is activated and you like clicking on the shiny objects. So I figured out a way to put my phone in grayscale. I go to the accessibility settings. Thanks, Kenzie. If anyone here is interested, I can show you how it's done. Just as an example, that's what my phone looks like. Hopefully my AirPods didn't disconnect, but that has helped me maintain a lower screen time. I also don't keep any social media on my phone. I don't go on TikTok basically ever. I only have Instagram on my laptop, and it's been really useful for me. So thank you.
Stas also talked about the current digital age having the consequences of social isolation for many. So Karan, what do you think the solution is for having more social interaction and connection for younger generations?
As many of you know, I've spent the last 30 years on philosophy and education, and I have very strong views on this. Children should not be exposed to screen. We learn through actions, through community, by using our hands. And the key for development for these children is to let them go play without the interruption of digital devices. Once we understand how the mind develops, that the mind is informed, the mind can imagine things and be educated from the images that it receives, but it's way more powerful if you actually walk the walk, if you gain your own experience. So that's going to be the key going forward. It's a big challenge. We need to do that. Without that, we are not going to have the future that we can look forward to. At least I don't think. It's a big job. It requires us to understand ourselves first. But once we do, when we get there, I think we'll be able to achieve it. It's not an unachievable goal. Thank you.
Oh, this space.
So Daniel talked about a time he was in a dilemma because he was asking for something slightly uncomfortable. Stas, can you tell us about the last time you asked for something that made you feel slightly uncomfortable? That's your biggest fan.
Not over. I guess,
Not appropriate.
yeah, not not for your children.
That's for Karan, yeah.
Something that I felt uncomfortable. I have two kids. Now they're 19 and 17, just turned. And one of the achievements that I'm most proud of is that I managed to maintain very open communication with them throughout the years of them growing up. So I make a point of keeping them comfortable enough so they can share anything with me. So I'm never critical and judgmental, but all of us have that vice, especially people that grew up in Russia or Ukraine, Soviet Union. It's a very judgmental place. So I really have to battle it and keep an eye on that. But from time to time, I do need to ask them difficult questions. If I see they're unhappy or have something heavy on their shoulders, how do I get them to open up and talk to me? Because otherwise I cannot help. So I think that's the biggest challenge. And I try to give them time and space and not force them to do that. And usually wait for a day or two. And if it doesn't go, then I create something like a shared experience with them. Let's go surfing with my son, or let's go dancing with my daughter. She's the party animal. Even though I can embarrass myself, but it's the shared experience when we really open. And then when we're in that comfortable situation on the same level, not as dad and a child, but as two mates, they can open up and tell me what's on their shoulders, and I can help them even by listening. That's explained.
One more.
Okay, perfect. And I think of a new one.
Well,
It's gonna be about
6:27.
The last one was gonna be at Daniel's speech, but I can't ask him a topic that pertains to his speech. So Stas talked about shared experiences that
I
make
think
you feel more like yourself. Daniel, can you talk about a shared experience you really enjoy that makes you feel more like Daniel?
Shared with other, like in a group.
Yeah, exactly. Communal activities.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is ToastMasters. I don't want to give an answer that just seems cliche and the easiest answer to pick, but I think it's genuinely true for me. Ever since I found this organization and this thing, which is actually pretty recently, I think the phrase that comes to mind is that it was something that was meeting my needs. So this is a communal thing, but I was in need, I was in search of something that would help me hone my communication skills, hone my quick thinking to come up with a response on the fly, and to talk and share. And so when I came across this, I realized I was happy that I found this was something that I exactly was something that I was looking for. and something that was meeting my needs. And so by partaking in this, I'm able to continue to improve my, areas where I feel like I could improve further. And that is something where I am finding myself further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. It was a great meeting.
I'll just be quick with the timing rules. We all qualified. Amazing. Great job.
Everybody qualified.
Everybody,
Thank you.
every single person.
Kenzie doesn't want to be critical of anything. Claire?
All right, so counter grammarian report. Stas, you had one Ron, one one James, one Kenzie, two ums, one like, one one or whatever. Char, you were clean. Daniel, you had 7 ums, 12 uhs, 9 and 1 like. James used the word of the day. I think he was the only one, so good job. And then I like Stas that you said more time looking at screens, less time looking at each other. Char, I like that you said to give what you have to give is total magic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are ready for our next meeting, so we're gonna pick some roles.
We'll give a speech next week.
You give a speech next week?
The best man speech, so strap in your seatbelts.
All right, so we have one speaker. Claire, are you speaking?
Next week. For real this time.
Okay, fine. I can speak next week. Sure. Twist my arm.
I said yes.
I don't know what it's going to be about, but I'll figure it out.
Okay,
Okay.
Toastmaster? Who wants to be a Toastmaster?
I can be, I don't know what to do, but we best.
All right.
We need some stuff.
Yeah.
I will, on our website, siliconspeech.org, we have a gallery that has a lot of the roles defined. It has also suggestions of how you open speeches. I highly recommend that you visit that. And yeah, that's really.
Yes,
Table topics, master?
we can do it.
Okay.
Wait, aren't you just gonna look back to the recording and write it down? I'm not
No,
writing it down.
Okay, I'll write it. R counter, I guess we can do
We
the
can do
R,
that.
we can do
Yeah,
that.
I'm up.
All right,
Okay.
thank
see
you, thank
Claire.
you, Claire. Are you gonna be in person next week?
Yeah, I'll be there in person. I'm running an event right after this, so I have to get going quickly. But I'll see you guys in person next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Go.
We did it.